तो ये शुरू की थी हमने 2015 में, इन द मंथ ऑफ जुलाई, और ये निकली थी इंटरनेशनल कन्वेंशन ऑफ ऑर्गेनिक फार्मिंग, हुई थी 2015 मार्च में, और 14 में हमने फार्मर्स के साथ काम किया था वो इस्टेब्लिश करने के लिए। जो 2014 में मैंने इस कन्वेंशन के लिए काम किया तो उस टाइम बहुत से मेरे साथ किसान की बातचीत होती रहती थी, और काफ़ी जो हमारे मीटिंग्स होती थी उसमें किसान बहुत बोलते थे। उनकी यही प्रॉब्लम थी कि ऑर्गेनिक फार्मिंग हम कर सकते हैं पर उसकी मार्केटिंग नहीं होती है, और मार्केटिंग की सबसे बड़ी दिक्कत है कि प्राइस नहीं मिलता है। तो इसी कारण हमने ये ठाना कि एक चंडीगढ़ में मार्केट ज़रूर इस्टेब्लिश करेंगे, और इसमें मुझे डॉक्टर रॉय की बहुत सारी उनकी मुझे मदद मिली ये करने के लिए।
Raman Maan is the kind who steps up to do her bit whenever she feels it is required. She has done so several times in her life, especially when she left her urban life and decided to till the family's 16 acres farm near Ropar, where she grows fruits, vegetables, salads, herbs, pulses, cereal grains, all organic. Her desire to put organically grown food on the table of her own family and on the table of others who, like her, want to consume organic inspired her and some other farmers, and together they founded the Chandigarh Organic Farmers Market. And against many odds, today the market lives on. Organic living is a holistic way of being. A similar energy went into the way Raman has brought up her own children. She did so in an organic way. What does that take? This conversation brings on a warm feeling in the pit of my stomach. Do have a listen. Hello, guys. Welcome back to the podcast Theatre of Joy. Today, we have for you Bubbly Man, Raman Man, Bubbly Man. I know her as Bubbly. And Bubbly, as she says herself, has had a long innings in this world as an entrepreneur, as a woman of the soil, as a daughter of the soil in Punjab, and as a mother. And her latest avatar is an organic farmer. She has poured all of herself and all that she's learned in her life into this farm that we are sitting at right now, wherein she does organic farming, no chemical allowed on the farm, and it's purely organic. And that's what we're going to talk about today here. Her children are also organically grown, and I love them so much. And they are, as expected, the daughters of their mother and father. And let's get on with it. I'll keep talking. So, Bubbly.
Hi. Hello.
Thank you so much for giving us this time.
It's a pleasure.
And the joy of your farm and the wonderful lunch that we enjoyed.
So it's been a pleasure to have you here.
But I'm a very, very curious consumer of organic, vegetables and produce and whatever. And that's why this conversation is going to be so exciting for me. Really exciting. So tell us, in a shortcut, I know we've had 75 years of a wonderful, wonderful lifetime. And so tell us very quickly about how you landed in this farm and how you chose to do organic farming in these years of your life.
These years of my life. So it's been a long journey, as you have said.
I know, from entrepreneur,
some 2 years,
from creating,
from being trying to be a journalist with Indian Express long time ago after college. I did my master's in economics, and then getting married and trying to follow a career with my husband, which was doing leather and leather garments, not leather garments, rather leather bags and shoes. and then the 84 riots, and we came back from Madras back to Jalandhar, where I by chance got employed with the Baba Shoes Company.
Oh, that's the famous Baba Shoes company.
Yes, the famous Baba Shoes, because they wanted to set up a bag unit, and I was qualified to do that. Not from academically, but from experience.
Yeah.
And then, having set up that unit for them, we ventured into leather garments. And then they wanted to open a unit in Delhi. That's where I landed up for 1 year and set up a unit in Delhi for them for making leather garments. Then I left and came back and started my own little unit in Chandigarh.
So you had a very rich experience as an entrepreneur.
As an entrepreneur, yes.
And you bring all of that experience and whatever you learned and, I mean, I don't think words are enough, really, many times.
It goes too long.
A very rich experience that you must have had as an entrepreneur in Punjab.
Sure, in
And
Punjab, yes.
you brought all of that finally
Yes.
you took the courage, a city girl took the courage to set up her own farm.
I wouldn't say a city girl because my father was in the army and coming from an agriculture background, rather. So he was very closely connected with the land, and after he retired, he went back to the village and started some kind of farming, more like gardening than farming. And I think my love for the soil comes from there, rather.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a really city girl. Growing up in cantonments is not a very city girl kind of experience. It's more like a, how would I put it?
But still urban.
Halfway house.
Still
halfway
urban.
house between
but getting one with the soil, getting down on your knees and
Yes.
tilling the whatever soil is something else.
I think that comes very naturally to this one particular community. If you don't have
But
soil,
I
you
must
feel-
say that Bubbly was, I think, my first experience as a consumer who actually was. I had started to experience the chemicals and the idea of the different factory farming and my food and so I think you were the first person I met who introduced me through your organic market,
Oh,
right?
yes.
And so there was a place actually to go and get authentic
Yes.
organic stuff.
Yeah.
So tell us about the organic market you started.
The organic market was an outcome of I think the 14th or the 5th. I don't remember which one exactly, but they had a All India Organic Convention.
Oh.
In NITTR, NITR in Chandigarh. And they were the host.
So we are Chandigarh girls.
We are Chandigarh girls, yes. So it came out of that convention because all the farmers who came there, which were more than 3,000 farmers, they only had one question, that we can produce organic food, which is not a difficult thing to do at all. But how do you market it? If you go to the normal market, you're not going to get the price that for the effort you're putting in.
Yeah.
You see?
Yeah.
And that was the question, and there was a very kind professor from the rural, I think the rural, agriculture. No, from NITR itself.
Acha.
He was in charge of the agriculture and rural development, things like that. And he rang me up after the convention, long time after the convention, because I was the only one who spoke up in the convention and said that they asked since we had worked for a year for them, setting it up and working hard and all those kind of things that
for
go into putting up for the conference.
Oh, to put up the
put up. So we were working at the grassroots level, sort of the tent should go here and putting chairs together so that they could have a meeting. So they said, what can we leave for Chandigarh so that they remember the convention? And that's when I said that since all the farmers have just one question, give us a marketing model for organic market.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay,
And,
okay. So there are so many questions jumbling up in my head. How did you get, and what were you doing before the conference? And before you sort of worked very hard to set up the conference?
So what happened was that my father, when he retired, he set up a security service
Ah,
for the ex-servicemen who were retiring from the army and didn't know where to go because they were retiring at a very young age and they had no employment. So somehow staying in the village and the army, retired army personnel coming and asking him, "Hey, Colonel Saab, kuch ki kariye." So dad got them all together and my mother would laugh and say, "Tusi savere savere hun bhi parade karai jao." That sort of
so he
thing.
trained them to become
Security guards.
Acha.
Because
So what is the connection between this agency and the conference?
there is no this thing, but I'll tell you what. So when he turned, in what year? 96, I think.
Oh, wow.
It was 96.
30 years ago.
He was feeling that he was losing his eyesight. He was feeling debilitated and said, "I can't carry on anymore. And since you're the only one who's not doing anything, why don't you join me?"
Okay.
And I, at that moment, has closed down my industrial unit. I couldn't have continued
The
with
bags,
it.
yeah.
The bag unit. It was more like garments. And I said, "Okay, I'll do it." And that's when I took over the agency from my father and started running it. The premises from where we were running in Sector 8, we had, taken up a rather large area which we were not using. And there was a young man called, what was his name? Would you cut that out a bit? Okay. Let me remember his name.
It doesn't matter, his name
Gaurav
is not
Sahai.
important.
Gaurav Sahai.
Ah, Gaurav.
Yes, Gaurav Sahai had come back from IT from America after doing IT and been in some company and had taken up organic farming. He was, I would say, the pioneer of organic farming.
In this
Chandigarh and around Chandigarh. And I gave him my space, which was not being used in the office, to run his weekly market. So that's where the organic connection comes in. And having got inspired from him, and in the meantime, we'd got this land which was not being used. I told my husband that I want to now take up organic farming.
Oh, wow.
That's when I turned 60.
That's how courageous of you. Oh my goodness.
No,
but you also had this. You also had this desire to consume only organic stuff.
And to take it easy, too much of the commercial world, too much of government stipulations and dealing with government.
No, but I'm talking about your desire to be a consumer of organic.
Yes, more than that.
Which is what Gaurav, I think he initiated us into that.
Exactly. So that's how it started. Then the convention came in and became a part of that. And then from there, you know how things, I think somehow the universe keeps opening up.
And you found yourself on your knees here in this park.
And I found myself
tilling the soil.
Tilling the soil.
But tell me, I hear that, whatever organic farmers people I've met who and had conversations about organic farming, they tell me that it's very tough. It's actually very, very difficult. It's impossible to sustain, an organic farm. How true is that?
The biggest problem of not only organic farming, but agriculture on the whole is sustainability.
Yeah, yes.
It's first of all as an economic activity, from where you're going to. I would not say where you're wanting to aspire for your for your aspirations to be fulfilled. That cannot happen.
That doesn't happen.
That doesn't happen. You can have a. I can say you can buy a Maruti or a small.
But you can't really educate your children and.
You can't buy a BMW or something like that.
And of course, that so many farmers are
So
very little land
So
they
the
hold.
the thing is that it's a matter of where you are feeling satisfied and happy.
You know, it really interested me. We were
Yeah.
making a film once about the Punjab farmers, and I realized that many of them have a little plot wherein they grow their own vegetables and things,
Absolutely. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Which is organic, but for the commercial produce, they actually do use chemicals and a lot of them and pesticides.
So
and
the farmer is aware of what
yes,
the harm he's creating.
yes. But what is
But
the
that morality has gone, no?
It's not morality. Is it morality or is it what they say, majburi?
I don't think it's majburi. I think it's a lot of it goes into greed or aspirations or what the children demand or your aspirations for your children and your lifestyles, where you see, so much consumerism, where you see these huge weddings happening which are broadcasted all over, and then
And the powers that be don't help
and the powers that we don't
because
help.
of the the
Yes.
produce is
Yeah.
not priced
Yeah.
properly,
Yes.
and there always politicians are fighting over that. And
So the thing is that if there's a conflict over here, if you have to pay the farmer what actually his produce costs, then half of the world will go hungry.
is that true?
Yes, you cannot afford.
But it can be subsidized, no, by the government.
Yeah, of course, subsidies are the only way out. The only way out is subsidies, and the only way out is subsidizing the farmer, maybe by direct income to transferring direct income to him rather than. Another way is
Just pay him for being a farmer.
yes, just pay him for
Achha,
being a
tell
farmer.
me, can you break this down? That if people were to pay what it costs the farmer to produce,
I will tell you something. It's.
can you break down that cost?
Have you heard of Harari, the one who wrote *Sapiens*?
You will know.
Yes. Now
She's talking about Yuval Noah Harari. Please do
Yes.
check him out. He's
Yes,
amazing.
Amazing. So he says that farming is a form of slavery.
Acha.
I agree with him on that aspect. To the extent that when there were hunter and gatherers, all humanity or humans were 24 hours engaged in getting their food. Either they were resting happily or they were trying to gather food or hunt for food. There was no other activity beyond that. So the total focus of your lifestyle, of your lifetime, was food
Yeah.
and
guess,
sustaining,
yeah.
right? Once agriculture comes in, there are few people who start tilling the soil and or keeping animals and are able to produce your food for you. Now, from those 24 hours where you were engaged in producing food, you are freed of that time. That much time is free now. So you are engaging in other activities, better, I would say, to the
And-
extent writing or poetics or literature or going into medicine, studying
cave
higher,
paintings.
or becoming managers. And then when you're becoming managers in today's day and world, you're getting these packages for a few lakh of rupees.
So I get it now. I
Now,
mean, look
no,
where
let me
look where
finish.
that divide took us.
Let me finish it. So now when a manager can spend all his 8 or 24 hours trying to better his life and lead a lifestyle which is far above what a farmer is leading. But who has given you that lifestyle? It's the farmer who has freed you of your time to engage in these activities. So isn't there the responsibility of society to give some amount of your earning because of the time he has given you, your time earning, to the farmer? So I feel that at some point there should be a payback to one who has freed you of freed your time of not hunting for your food or gathering your food and putting that food on your table, regardless whether you're even sometimes even even aware of what you're eating, because you're watching a film or you're discussing a a project or something, and you're not aware of what you're eating, and who has produced it to give you freedom to do all that.
Actually, it is the holy occupation, right? You were telling me a story
It's
about
not that I won't say it's a
Baba
whole-
Nanak.
Yeah, Baba Nanak, of course, inspired you, but that is another aspect of farming, I would say,
Yeah,
where
I mean,
you have to have sabar and santokh.
yeah,
These two words
Yeah.
as I take.
yeah,
So sabar santokh hoega, then you will not be running for that I have to have these cars and I have to have these I have to go for a holiday here and there and all that. You're happy with your living with nature and eating whatever you're growing. So there are these two aspects in life, but
Yeah.
unfortunately in today's day and age, because it's a very vicious circle. You have free that man and he's living this fancy houses, fancy life, and they are broadcasting it on social media, all these happy times that
And they
these
have the
people
power.
are having.
They have the
And they
power.
have the power. And when you see all that, then where your children are seeing all that, then where is your sabar santoki when the father says, I'm happy in this life? The children are saying, to hell with you, Baba. Base Jameen, send me to America.
Yeah, and land is, I mean, the price of land is
land
really,
is going up because of this. So he'll say, ਜ਼ਮੀਨ ਨਾ ਵੇਚੋ ਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਜਾਈਏ ਉੱਥੇ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਝਾੜੂ ਹੀ ਮਾਰਨਾ ਪਏ on the airports. But that life which was so sublime and beautiful and holy goes away. But then that's a way of your mental makeup, I would say, of your
yeah.
um,
No, but this world teaches you a different mental
yeah, the world
forces you to have a different mental
forces you.
makeup.
Of course, I don't blame them at all. There's no blame game as such, but it's okay. That's how life is happening on earth, no? Where money has become God.
So you were saying that it is not that difficult to do organic farming.
No, it's not. It's only labor intensive.
It's labor intensive.
Or you can leave it very free, but you have to be aware of the cycles. You have to be aware of the seasons, the cycles, when to water, when to do that. You need beans. It's hard work.
And that know-how is
And
kind of
that
going
know-how-
away. It's
that know-how is a journey also. You're never
Yes.
sure of what is happening.
yes.
It's a journey.
Nobody can
yeah.
really teach you that in a university.
You can't teach it. Cannot be taught in a university. It has to be done on ground,
Yeah.
and then you get an idea of, okay, yes, I can grow this here and I can grow there. And there's a lot of heartbreak, which is a part of the joy. I think also, things go wrong. Seasons are different. There's climate change happening. You have to understand what is
Yeah.
how you
How
have
it
to
is going
deal
to
with
affect
it.
your.
And the major thing is how you're going to market it. How you're going to, transform that gobi into note.
I know. And there's no help. I mean,
There's
there's
no
no sympathy, there's no help, there's no gratitude, right?
I do see gratitude. I do see people coming up and say, thank you so much for growing this lovely food.
Yeah, but only the people who know
Yeah.
that.
People who know how to discriminate, I would say, between what is
And that is also only a privileged few. actually.
privileged few. No, a lot of middle class, lower middle class people are understanding this, and they cannot afford. But then they say that if we can, it's better than going to these expensive hospitals rather than going there. Right? Let us.
I know. Unfortunately,
diet.
right now, the way this world is going, a lot of sickness and disease is coming from how we
Yeah.
eat and what we eat.
How to eat and what to eat, but more and more, as you see, people are shutting down their kitchens and going towards restaurants and fast foods and street foods, and hardly any cooking is happening in the home.
Yeah.
The housewife is so busy earning again in order to sustain a lifestyle. It's such a vicious circle. It's such a circle that goes on and on and on and on.
And
Somewhere you
somehow
have
we
to say,
lost-
okay, that's enough. I move away from all this.
Yeah, and you did.
I
You
did.
moved away.
I tried. Yeah. I tried to find a middle path where I could balance both the things out. But slowly, one aspect of your life slowly goes away. You start.
So tell me about your travails when you actually started becoming part of the, the market.
Yeah, there was a lot of tension because you wanted to earn money to pay the laborer, to pay that, and then people telling you how much money you're losing,
Yeah.
and then you realize that okay, I'm not going to make ornaments, I'm not going to make clothes, I'm not going to go to parties, I'm not going to entertain and go to fancy restaurants. I'd rather move away and be happy on the farm and do what I want to.
But you do
I
the
do everything.
organic market once a week.
Yes, I do that once a week, and that's very exciting for me. Yeah, because I meet a lot of youngsters there, I meet a lot of lovely people who come there. Uh, I meet people who have a lot of questions, which is very good. They are questioning things, they're questioning your produce, they're questioning how you're growing certain things and why. And you ask them, why do you want to come to and pick up food here, which is far more expensive than what you're getting in the normal mandi. But they have nice questions, and that is quite
That's a joy for
satisfying and joyful. Yes.
And I think you transferred some of that joy to your daughters, who are also both engaged in not the normal commercial,
Yes.
market where young people are sold and bought. I mean, the connotations are different here, but
Yes.
you do, I mean.
I give them a lot of freedom to do what they want.
Your daughters.
Yes.
Okay, tell us about them.
To do what they want to know. The younger one, of course, wanted to do environment. Then she went off to Australia to study environment. She did a lot of exciting things there and came back. And she came back, although in spite of my telling her not to come back, she says, no, I want to come back and work in India. And she worked very hard. She studied the lion-tailed macaques in South India, lived in the forest there. Then she's worked in Champawat area and got into trouble with the forest department because they discovered poaching, tiger poaching. And then she left environment and went into education. And now she's into this alternate education, working with children, and she's very happy doing that.
In Coveda?
In Coveda, yes.
And your other daughter?
And the other one wanted, she studied in government college and was very unhappy with, what she was learning. She wasn't feeling satisfied. Then she was very good in English, so I told her to do her master's in English. And we went to Delhi University to go for the entrance exam. She walked in and she walked out.
Oh my God. I feel her. Yeah, even my daughters did.
She walked in and 5 minutes later she came out and said, I'm not doing this. I said, then what are you going to do? She said, I'm going to do art. I said, from where has this art come in suddenly? So, no, I've been toying with the idea of doing art for a long time. And so she applied and she went and did an art course in UK. And then did her BA again in fine art. And then joined Slade School of Art. I think she was one of the children who got selected. She did well there. She got a scholarship. Then she struggled. Once you're out of the university, you struggle. Then she struggled till she got a job with Fitzwilliam University in Cambridge.
Oh, wow.
Fitzwilliam Museum in Cambridge. Yeah. And then from there, she went and joined Victoria and Albert. And she's a curator there and helping out with the Sikh collection.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and she's very happy. She's written a little thing on the throne, on Maharaja Ranjit Singh's throne. She's done a little thing, and I think she should be published soon.
But this is very interesting. You grow your food organically, and you grow your children organically.
Trying to.
There is a connection. So we live life holistically, whether we like it or not.
Yes.
You're paying a fat donation, so-called, in a medical college to get your child into to become a doctor, and you do all kinds of things to get that fat donation, and and then now we have these corporate hospitals,
yes,
which are actually busy I'm sure this is,
Busy.
I mean, this is not a thing to say, but
Yeah.
they're terrible.
Yeah.
I don't think they're really curing any patients, or they're just making money out of disease
I think so.
and
I
creating
think so
disease as
too.
such.
I think so.
I mean,
too.
so,
Yeah.
okay. So, that is when kids are not also grown organically. And you don't also eat organically, or you're not connected with
Yeah.
that part of
Yes.
human
Yeah,
existence.
yeah.
But look at you.
So when you allow people to grow organically or grow naturally into what is naturally where they feel that this is what excites them, then mentally they're in a happy state.
Yeah.
It's a struggle,
And they can give more to the world.
Yeah, and
so an organic farmer can say that, it's very difficult to run an organic farm.
Yeah,
And
because
a parent also, we've heard many parents say, "Nee ji, it's very difficult to have, kids. Nee, they have to listen to us. They have to listen to the world. They can't do what they really want to do. They have to get into the job market.
Job market.
So, do you see what I see here? Do you see
a lot of conflict
and the connection?
And the connection
In the
yes,
way we are
yeah.
killing our bodies and our the world.
Yeah, and when society becomes dictator to you, society starts dictating terms and conditions.
If you're listening,
But if you're not
listening and you're doing your own
if you're
holistic
listening,
organic life,
you're listening and yet you're discriminating and you're using your mind to see where things are going wrong in society.
yeah.
And you don't kowtow to it. Because there's always a lot of pressure in everyone. You can't stand those pressures.
Like a farmer also must be having a lot of pressure.
Of course.
And
The farmer
so he chooses not to go organic.
Yes, a farmer has a lot of pressure. First of all, you see, once the downward trend starts in nature, then it falls. You see, once you start killing the good insects by pesticides, the whole balance in nature gets distorted. And then you cannot do without spraying those insecticides. Right?
And then you have businessmen creating seeds and things in which actually will not grow without a certain pesticide. I mean, how crazy can we all get?
And how crazy can we all get? Now, same thing with urea or these chemical fertilizers. Once the earth gets used to just giving nutrition because of those and you have cleared your land of all the weeds and all the organic matter and just putting in
and the
chemical then your crop is only going to
and your land is screwed for generations to come.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But nature is there. And nature survives.
Nature survives. We die.
You may die, but the soil will regenerate itself.
If we leave it alone long enough.
If we let it Same thing with our bodies,
Yeah.
If you start eating vitamins, which the doctors will say you're deficient in iron, you're deficient in vitamin B12, you're deficient in calcium. Everyone is deficient in calcium and B12.
Yeah, and now everybody's having these other kind of stuff to give you protein, to give you, what is it? What are they called?
Wellness foods or something like that. And then once your body gets used to that, then how are you going to leave it? Because mentally also you're dependent on it. There's a crutch. You feel that if I don't have this vitamin today...
Which is why you went to them in the first place.
Yes. But then it becomes such a crutch, you can't leave it.
But you know what?
And then these pharmaceutical...
Probably have to stop now.
Yes.
We can go on and on about this.
It can never end.
But what I used to like saying, I used to love saying that mothers and teachers should be specially protected because they are giving us the next generations. They are giving us the future. And now, I mean, talking to you, farmers also need to be specially protected.
Specially protected. I really do.
So that they can follow their instinct and actually go organic.
Absolutely. So
that's produce enough food for everyone. You know.
So in that same thing, then people who have been freed of their time to do, higher income, to generate greater incomes for themselves and their families, should compensate that person who has given you that time to do it.
Yeah.
it's the responsibility of
Yeah.
society, and therefore the responsibility of governments to implement such laws that you can protect your farmer,
Yeah.
so that he can grow, nutritional and safe food for
Yes,
everyone, so that you don't need these hospitals.
Food is energy.
Yes.
And it's like producing nutritional and safe energy.
Safe energy,
And
then
not
everyone,
energy that is harmful.
and that's happiness, you see, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And what is human being striving for? Happiness and joy,
Happiness.
and nothing else.
Oh
And
my God,
peace.
so beautiful talking to you.
Lovely.
I'm feeling like, and be sitting in this farm and,
it's wonderful.
amazing.
It's
I wish there were
amazing.
more people like you, Bubbly.
I'm sure there are, and there
I
are
know, but
lots
there
of
needs to be
people.
lot more.
Yeah.
Who against all odds, are following their, what is
Yeah.
right for them.
What you feel is right, but you're never sure, whether am I doing the right? That question comes
Yeah,
in.
that's the joy of living.
That's the joy of living.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you also.